Hello, I'm Marcie Melton, and I'm going over my Human Resources Research and Interview paper with you. I conducted an interview with Katie Ortega from the city of Puyallup. She's the HR director. She was able to provide me with some great information, as well as some information and research I conducted on my own. Let's go ahead and dive in. First topic we're going to talk about is HR issues and laws. Katie discussed that some of the challenges that her department encounters is with sick leave programs. Washington State has mandated a sick leave program. On top of that, FMLA as well as PMFL is also available to employees. The city of Puyallup also provides PTO or sick leave. In trying to navigate between those programs, ensuring that schedules are covered and employees know what their rights are within those programs can be a bit of a challenge. The other program that can be a bit of a challenge is one that I learned from Lindsay Derrick, who is the HR recruiter for Pierce County. She talked to me about the Fair Chance Act, which is a great program that helps people get into jobs or job applications that may not have had the ability to before due to a charge or a felony on their record. But because of municipalities and counties, there are some things that need to be considered. It's really important for HR people to know the details of the jobs that are being posted, especially with considerations to people who may have felonies on their record. Despite the Fair Chance Act, there is still the ability to turn down somebody for an application if they are unable to be on the job due to restrictions for government property, cities, schools, or parks. And as far as staying compliant goes, that is definitely a huge consideration. Katie and Lindsay both talked about the importance of staying on top of laws and regulations. If their team is unsure or needs additional help, they do have external legal teams that they can consult for advice, or if there is a situation that comes up, they can help them navigate that. 10 behavioral job interview questions. We'll go through this in two parts. We'll start off with questions about integrity, collaboration, and excellence. This is something that is specific to the city of Puyallup. Katie likes to know employees may have what their values are, and whether that's personal or if that is workplace related. This is also a great icebreaker question. The next one is questions about initiative or leadership. Answers to this give insight into solving solo problems, a sign of a great creative thinker, and the ability to handle themselves. The third one is questions about difficult individuals. This may be a coworker that you've had challenges with, or maybe it was difficult customers. The answer to a question like this shows if they are able to navigate different types of personalities, skilled at resolving issues and conflict, generally how they handle people who may be difficult. Teamwork. This is always a great question to ask. Answers give you an idea of how they can handle responsibility and work shared as a team. And then number 5 is levels of service. So answers are going to show what service they want and are able to provide. This is going to give clarity on how they conduct themselves, which is really important in just about any job. The next one is going to be questions about organizational style. This one definitely transcends any type of job. Staying organized, finding systems that work for you, that are effective. Time management is definitely another organizational style, is important to any department. Prioritization. So questions about prioritization are going to give insight to employees on how they sequence tasks when the time is limited. It's crucial to know what is and is not a priority, how they determine that. Number 8 is competency. So questions about competency are going to give you answers on whether the candidate is self-reliant, whether they're able to work independently to solve problems, how they work through things on their own. Number 9 is adaptability. So answers to questions about adaptability are going to show whether or not your candidate is resilient, flexible. Attributes like that can really contribute to more dynamic and successful organization. And then lastly, we have a question about personal growth. So this question may relate to something like a performance review and how you take that criticism and what you do with it. And Katie said answers regarding willingness to learn and not being afraid to assess your own skills in hopes of improvement are something that she's definitely looking for. 5 specific soft skills. These go hand in hand with interview questions. Both of these give great insight into what type of employee you might be hiring. The first one is flexibility. We did touch on this a little bit in interview questions, but flexibility allows employers to see how employees shift and adapt within their position or within tasks themselves. Problem solving. This is always a great skill to have. You need to have the confidence that team members can sort out challenges on their own. This may be something where they have a problem they need to solve, whether they ask somebody how to solve a problem or they consult a manual or training document on how to solve a problem. Teamwork. Definitely something that is every department needs to know how to work through. Teamwork. Katie doesn't like to see employees silo the responsibilities or hoard them all to themselves. So what she's really looking for is people who are able to share the responsibility within their team. And even if you're a remote worker, being able to know how to work with your coworkers virtually, or whether you are working with customers or vendors. Communication. This is a huge one. Communication allows people to be able to convey complex ideas and be able to explain things in a way that people can understand. That is a huge skill, whether it's written or verbal. And then the last one, which is really important, especially for Katie at the City of Puyallup, is emotional intelligence. As a municipality, all of their communication is open to viewing by the public. So that means they have to be very careful about the types of communication that they have. This also means emails, memos, or it could be conversations that could be overheard by the public. Say there are service workers who are working on a project in a neighborhood and they're surrounded by public. If they're having a personal conversation, they need to be able to have the emotional intelligence to understand whether or not this is an appropriate time to have that conversation. And then emotional intelligence also allows you to be able to perceive how others are feeling. And regardless of whether you're a municipality or not, having that skill of being able to sense how somebody is feeling about you or the conversation you're having is really crucial. All right, factors managers use in designing professional development for employees. Professional development is super important. And as far as HR goes, this is such a great tool that they can use to help build a better company. Learning new skills can enhance expertise. At some point, an employee may ask whether they're going to be outskilled by growing technology or younger workers. So having the tool to be able to develop new skills is always a good one. One of the things about professional development is that it reduces turnover. When employees feel their skills and experiences are valued, they're less likely to leave the company. Adaptive learning. This is a great way to use a great thing to use in professional development. It cultivates inclusive and effective learning environments because everybody learns differently. And each employee is going to work at a different pace and speed, so being able to adapt the learning process to everybody really helps benefit. Making a plan. So when managers and leadership make plans for their employees, maybe they set specific goals and skill levels. This is going to help give a clearer picture to the future of the company and what the progress is. And something else I wanted to mention is from the McCormick Spice Company. They have a great program that I think a lot of companies can probably take a page out of, is formal learning events. This is something they encourage all of their employees to attend as regularly as possible. They feel that they benefit by being able to get more experience. They also encourage their senior board members to take on coaching or mentoring programs. In addition to that, their social learning is something else that they encourage. So you learn with your peers, you learn together, and you can help build an experience that everybody's proud of. All right, so we have ADA and EEOC regulations. This is definitely something that's really important for HR people to know about. Staying on top of laws and regulations and compliance when it comes to harassment, disability, things of that nature, is going to prevent a lot of frustration in the future. Title VII covers anti-harassment, sexual harassment, a litany of other things. But today we're going to talk about anti-harassment and sexual harassment. Now, the anti-harassment and bullying is something that Katie talked about from City of Puyallup. She said the first step to ensuring compliant and safe workplaces begins with onboarding, policies, and orientation. They require through the City of Puyallup that everybody takes an anti-harassment and bullying training program. And depending on your department, you'll either take that in person, virtual, or if you're with the City of Puyallup Police Department, you're going to take another program in addition to that for more intense training. Sexual harassment is unfortunately a prevalent thing in the workplace, but teaching managers how to identify, prevent, and work with people who have encountered sexual harassment is definitely going to help take down the prevalency of that type of discrimination. Ageism, probably something we don't talk enough about. This is something that definitely can be prevented either in applications or in the workplace itself with existing employees. Making sure that people over the age of 40 aren't experiencing any sort of discrimination due to their age, treating them differently or adversely. Just be aware, it is something that can happen, though it isn't something we talk a lot about. And then lastly, we're going to touch on the ADA. So this is something we think about disabilities. Physical is probably the one that comes to mind the most, or a visible disability. But the reality is that so many disabilities are invisible. So it's really important that we give our employees the space and ability to come forward comfortably and ask for accommodations. Accommodations can look anything like ramps or additional equipment to do their job. Maybe they need a flexible schedule or work at home schedule a few days a week. The other part that is covered under the ADA is substance abuse. This is something that isn't talked about a lot, but it is covered under disability protection. So if you do have an employee that's going through substance abuse, a few of the accommodations that you can make would be giving them a flexible schedule, a leave of absence for recovery programs. Maybe they need to take time off to attend meetings. All of these are covered under the ADA. Definitely something you'll want to have a conversation with your employee about to see what's a good fit for their life at the time. There's also something to consider, which is a last chance agreement. That is something between the employee and the company that outlines behavior and expectations so that you can prevent termination or at least outline what those expectations are. We're going to pause here. We'll pick this up in the second video.